You know, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I've been really wondering something lately. Uh, when you look at statistics, right, about birth rates correlated to political ideology, political belief, uh, left leaning, right leaning, conservative, liberal, and also correlated with religious belief or secularism, atheism, whatever, you already know the answer. Conservatives have more children. Religious people have more children. Liberals, left-leaning people, atheists have far fewer children. They're far less interested in having children, right? We all know that. So my question is, why do you, who don't have children, and it's not because Allah hasn't granted you children, it's because you don't want children. You're choosing to be childless. So my question is, why do you get to have a say in long-term policy decisions? Why do you, who don't have children and are interested in having children, why do you get to have a say in the character of society when you have no stake in the future of that society? You understand? Liberals, left-wing, atheists, all of these people are not interested in procreating, reproducing, continuing the species to live on the earth. And they are pushing and driving policies that will, and that have already, fundamentally reshaped the character of society. And they're pushing for policies that can have sweeping, drastic changes in society. But they have no stake in the future, meaning they have no stake in the consequences of those policies and those decisions and the character that they are trying to enforce or realize or manifest in the society. They have no stake. They're not going to have children. They're not going to have grandchildren, great-grandchildren, generation after generation that have to live with the consequences of the policies that they're advocating and pushing for and lobbying for. We will. Conservatives will. Religious people will. We have children. We're thinking about future generations. And we want society to look a certain way and to be a certain way. We have a right to that because we're the ones, meaning our bloodline, that's going to live in that society. You people who are pushing these types of policies, you end. When you end, when you die, your bloodline is over. If you're not having kids for the aftermath of all of the policies that you are pushing for, you have no stake in the future. Parents have a stake in the future. And parents, when they vote and their political activity, if you ask any parent what is motivating them in their political position, 9 out of 10 of them are going to tell you, I have to think about my kid's future. You don't. Liberals, atheists, you people who are not having kids and are not interested in having kids because you think there's already too many people, because you moralize to yourself and say the world is such a terrible place, how could I ever possibly, it's an immoral act to bring children into a disgusting world like this. I mean, that's the way you think. Then you're trying to reshape society the way you think it should be, but the way you think it should be only for as long as you live here. You don't care about what happens after you die. Most of you think that you're going to just be worm food anyway. You're not even thinking about spiritual judgment. You're not even thinking about any of these things. And yet you have the gall to think that you can impose the future on our children that you're not going to see, that your kids, non-existent kids, will never see. How does that make any sense? Why can people without children vote? I mean, I know that's an extreme position. I'm taking an extreme, deliberately for rhetorical purposes. But honestly, I'm trying to find ways to convince myself of why it doesn't make sense that people without kids should not be allowed to vote. Let's put it, okay, in your lifetime, you're going to be impacted by decisions by the government. You should have a say in what those decisions are and what those policies are in your lifetime, so on. Okay, fine. But people who have kids who are under 18 you should have, if you're a father or a mother and you have 2 kids, you should get 3 votes. Not 1. You should get 3 votes because you're voting for your children. You're voting for your children's future. And people who don't have kids, okay, you get your vote. You get your 1 vote. But anyone who has kids who are under 18, you vote on their behalf and you get their votes. How's that? I mean, because it has to make sense somehow that the people who actually have an investment in the future, who have a stake in the future, who are thinking about future generations, they have to have more say in the way society is supposed to go. Doesn't that make sense? I mean, honestly. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.